Ezekiel 36 and the modern state of Israel, a miracle of God's faithfulness, not man's righteousness. The prophetic words in Ezekiel 36:16 through 21 and 24 through 25 are a profound lens through which to understand the modern rebirth of the state of Israel. In fact, these are the most overlooked verses in the Bible when it comes to the restoration of Israel. These verses form a theological blueprint explaining why and how God would regather the Jewish people to their ancestral land, not because of their righteousness, but in spite of their unrighteousness or blindness. It is a prophetic testimony that highlights God's faithfulness to his covenant and his concern for his holy name above all. Number one, not because of righteousness, but because of God's name, as described in Ezekiel 36:16 through 21. Ezekiel records that Israel had defiled the land through idolatry, violence, and spiritual impurity. They defiled it by their ways and their deeds. So I poured out my wrath upon them. I scattered them among the nations. Verses 17 to 19. God's judgment was just. Israel's exile from the land was not a political accident or historical coincidence, but divine discipline. Yet even in exile, the Jewish people profaned God's name. These are the people of the Lord, and yet they had to go out of his land. Verse 20. In the eyes of the nations, Israel's exile made God appear powerless or unfaithful. It mocked his name. Therefore God declares, "But I had concern for my holy name." Verse 21. This becomes the turning point of the prophecy. The motivation for restoration was not human merit, but divine honor. Number two, a secular return fulfilled by a sovereign God, recorded in Ezekiel 36:24. I will take you from the nations and gather you from all the countries and bring you into your own land. This statement is extraordinary in its simplicity and power. It is not conditional on repentance or faith. It's God, not a prophet or man, that promises to gather the Jewish people first from every nation in exile before cleansing and spiritual renewal. What this means is that God alone is gathering the Jewish people back to Israel by himself first, not by a prophet or man or by a Messiah. The modern state of Israel was declared in 1948, following centuries of dispersion, persecution, and statelessness. Many of the Jewish immigrants who returned were secular, socialists, or Zionist in ideology, not religious. The return was largely political and pragmatic, not spiritual. And yet this secular return was prophesied. Ezekiel foretold that the return would come while Israel was still in a state of uncleanness. He would bring them back first, and only then would he cleanse them. Number three, a promise of future spiritual awakening, Ezekiel 36:25. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean from all your uncleannesses, and from all your idols I will cleanse you. This shows a process. Return first to the land, verse 24. Next, spiritual transformation and cleansing, verse 25 and onward. We are living in the era between verses 24 and 25. The Jewish people have returned to the land, mostly in a state of secularism or partial belief. But that return is a stage in God's greater redemptive plan. As history unfolds, more and more Jewish people are becoming aware of their spiritual calling. There is a quiet but growing revival in Messianic Jewish communities, and a widespread return to Torah values, even among the previously secular. Number four, modern Israel, a living miracle in evidence of God. The rebirth of Israel defied history. No other ancient people group scattered for nearly 2,000 years has maintained their identity, their Hebrew language and faith, and then returned to reestablish sovereignty over their ancient homeland. It is unmatched in world history. The restoration of Israel is not just geopolitical, it is theological. It shows that God keeps his promises, Genesis 17, Deuteronomy 30. God acts even when his people do not deserve it. God's faithfulness is not dependent on human performance. The Bible is true and still unfolding in real time. Conclusion: the return of Israel glorifies God, not man. Ezekiel 36 clearly shows that Israel's return was not a reward for good behavior, but a demonstration of God's character. The restoration of the Jewish people to the land is a divine act, driven by God's commitment to his name and his covenant. It is not for your sake, O house of Israel, that I am about to act, but for the sake of my holy name. Ezekiel 36:22. Therefore, Israel today stands as a miracle, a living testimony that God is real, his word is faithful, and his plan for Israel and the world is unfolding. The secularism of many Jews today does not invalidate the prophecy, it only confirms it. The full spiritual transformation is yet to come, but the physical regathering is already a powerful sign that God's hand is upon his people. Modern Israel proves not the greatness of man or a Messiah's works, but the greatness of God.